This episode of The Town is presented by HBO Max. HBO Max presents The Pit, nominated for 26 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Drama Series. The staff of Pittsburgh Trauma Medical Center juggle personal crises, workplace politics, and high emotions in this Emmy-winning drama series. Don't miss the series USA Today called The Absolute Best Show on TV. The Pit is now streaming on HBO Max. It is Monday, August 24th. Another big twist in the Paramount Warner Brothers merger drama. Rob Bonta, the California Attorney General, he first agreed to settlement talks with the Ellisons over the antitrust issues that have stalled that deal. The lawyers met on Friday in advance of formal talks that were supposed to start today. But then around midnight last night, Bonta gave a statement to the New York Times calling off the talks and blaming Paramount for leaking news of the Friday meeting to the Wall Street Journal, calling it a lack of good faith. Quote, "As soon as Paramount stops playing games and engages sincerely, my office is happy to meet again," Bonta said. Paramount then fired back, claiming it wasn't the source of the leaks. They actually put out their own statement saying, "We remain hopeful and stand ready to continue good faith discussions to resolve the Attorney General's suit and move forward, yada, yada, yada." So, sounds a little like Who Stole the Milk Money in junior high, very petty here, but clearly this is all part of the negotiation game. Both sides trying to get some leverage. Or is it? What's actually going on here and the communication strategies in particular? Lucas Shaw is here to discuss. He's our Monday guy. We're also going to get into the recent Dune Part 3 movie ticket debacle. Yet again, a big IMAX release by AMC has left some fans pissed off. They can't get the tickets that they want. The ticket site wouldn't work. And scalpers gobbled up a lot of these 70mm tickets. Not great. So little Dune 3 tickets and a lot of the Paramount versus California update. The PR strategies at work. From The Ringer and Puck, I'm Matt Belloni, and this is The Town. Okay, we are here with Lucas Shaw from Bloomberg. Welcome back, Lucas. You are in San Francisco today?
San Francisco.
What are you doing there? By the way, you should be plugging your big conference. You don't use this platform to plug your shit. Do it. Plug
you
away.
Just did it for me.
No, well, give us the details.
We interview 15 of the most important people that all listeners of this podcast will know. It's coming up at the end of September, top of October. It's one of the reasons I'm up here. So we've got Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos. We've got Disney President Dana Walden. We've got NBC Universal's Donna Langley. We've got Ben Affleck.
Dude, that's the big one for me.
We just booked someone else that I think you're going to be pretty excited about that I'm not allowed to disclose yet. Casey Bloys from HBO.
Adam Aaron. Was it Adam Aaron?
No, we have not had Adam. If Adam
that's because he only comes on The Town.
Yes, if Adam has any interest in having a relationship, he knows where to find me.
Okay, well, it's a good event. You and I do a live show from there, so it's a good time for all. I recommend it highly. All right, so let's talk today about the latest in the WarnerMount saga. Unbelievable. We got word on Friday. They're going to meet. We saw some reporting over the weekend about how one side, or Paramount says not them, but somebody characterized this meeting. And then, boom, Rob Bonta issues a statement to the New York Times around midnight and says, no, we're not meeting. So what is going on here? I have my take on this. Please enlighten us.
No, I want your take first.
I have slightly different take on this. People are like, oh, was it Paramount? Was it not? They've denied it. Rob Bonta says it's them. It sort of doesn't matter, right? You and I know how this works. Most of the time when people start pointing fingers at who leaked something, they're wrong.
Or they did it. It's the classic Trump, like, how dare you do this? But in fact, that's what I do.
Well, that's what people think about Bonta. I mean, the Paramount-friendly interpretation here is that Bonta realizes he's dining out on this and getting himself on talk show after talk show and raising his profile and raising his name recognition, which, as we know in California, is sort of all that matters in politics. If people know who you are, they're much more likely to vote for you. So he potentially, I'm not saying this happened, may have ginned this up and called this off to get himself some more attention, which worked.
The problem with because Paramount and a lot of people, I think, have been pushing the, like, Bonta just wants attention. This is all political, blah, 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 blah. And sure, maybe long term, there's some benefit, but like Rob Bonta is going to win re-election as the Attorney General of the state unless something crazy happens. And then he has nothing else to run for a while.
Well, what about Congress?
I guess he could run for Congress, but there's a governor's race right now that he did not jump into. So yes, he could run for Congress. He could run for Senate. I guess some of these are possible.
Or he could try to be attorney general under, President Newsom or President Shapiro or someone like that.
Sure. All those things. I have to admit, my initial response when Bonta canceled the meeting was I kind of enjoyed it.
Why? Because it poked the eye of Paramount?
Because Paramount has spent 2 years now, but maybe longer than that because I've lost track. Between between David Ellison's initial pursuit of Paramount, then his pursuit of Warner Brothers, playing all sorts of games in the press and being very manipulative and like very, very gifted at it. But I think spreading a bunch of stuff that was like sometimes true and sometimes not, and really kind of trying to use the press and public interest to their advantage in these. I mean, just look at their pursuit of Warner Brothers, which they, tossed out there a few times.
Well, but let's go back to the Paramount Skydance merger because Sherry Redstone was absolutely manhandled by them.
Yeah. Well, yes, she was manhandled by them. She also did her own leaking, but yes, the Ellisons have very successfully managed some of these. And so just seeing someone kind of like push back on them and try to use their same playbook against them, I have to say I kind of enjoy, because when it was Netflix didn't really do that. Like they weren't interested, it seemed like, in sort of playing those games in quite the same way.
We still don't know where some of these stories came from. And I would not be surprised. Netflix has a lot of lobbyists and special PR people in DC. Paramount has their own as well.
Paramount has a far more sophisticated kind of lobbying and legal group, at least when it comes to politics, than Netflix did, because that's who David Ellison had surrounded himself with in a lot of ways, whereas Netflix had mostly avoided trying to kind of get in DC's crosshairs for anything. Anyways, we don't need to talk about Netflix.
Well, if you go on social media these days, there is an organization called Neighbors for Strong Communities. Have you seen these ads? They're random advocacy groups. They're pushing, it's anonymously funded, and they're pushing for the WarnerMount merger, and they won't say who is funding them. Now, Paramount says it's not them. I would not be surprised if ultimately it linked back to some LLC called like Larry's Lanai Pineapples or something like that.
Yeah, this stuff is all very thorny, because if you remember the day before, or like the week Ted Sarandos testified at the Senate over that deal, there was a report that came out that was leaked to Deadline that was all about sort of like Netflix being pro-trans and peddling LGBT stuff. If you talk to people at Netflix, they're convinced that Paramount was indirectly behind that. I have no evidence of that, and I'm really reluctant to get into, like, unless you can tie it to the person, I don't want to tie it to the person.
Exactly. And the day that Rob Bonta sued, remember, that was the day that we learned that David Ellison is putting together this coalition to get a federal tax credit in DC. So like the timing of that was fishy as well.
And when I pointed that out, I got in a lot of trouble. So let's just stick to the facts, which are that Paramount has waged very effective campaigns. Eventually, they've often, I'd say the trajectory for Paramount has tended to be overconfidence at the beginning, kind of like screw it up, but eventually get their way, and very effective kind of use of the press and the media, and of lobbying. And so I don't know who leaked what. I just think it's funny to see someone else kind of almost doing the same thing right back at him. It's not great for the people stuck in limbo. I get that, but
no, it's awful for people who are sitting there waiting to see if their job is going to be eliminated, or if they can buy the movie project that they're competing with 4 other studios to buy, or if they are looking at a potential opportunity elsewhere and deciding whether to move, which a lot of these people are. So it's the whole thing is a bad situation. And I wonder if all of this, like if they're just playing 4D chess here and Bonta is looking down the line, because keep in mind, this is all normal in litigation. Like my colleague Eric Gardner made this joke online, like we've reached the stop playing games portion of the settlement negotiation, because this is what happens. One side accuses the other of leaking. This is going on in the Range CAA lawsuit, where they're accusing each other of leaking, and one of them accused them of leaking to me, and I was like, guys, I wish that was not the case. And there's other, like, this whole Mark Ruffalo anti-Semitism thing is part of this as well, because obviously Mark Ruffalo's comments about, linking Oracle and some of their support of Israel and all this stuff to this merger, not great. He says adamantly he's not anti-Semitic. Paramount says pretty adamantly that they think he is, but that's a debate that they would like to have.
Right. Because it completely distracts from the actual criticism of the deal. Yeah.
Exactly. And I made this point before, that the political stuff is actually good for the Ellisons, because it takes the focus away from the merits of the case, whatever they may be, and puts it on other things that can be explained away. So deep down, they hope Mark Ruffalo keeps yapping his mouth.
It's good and bad, because I believe you have said in the past on this show that you think that the Ellison's politics and their currying favor with Trump are a big reason why they have this lawsuit, where had they maybe been a little more diplomatic with that they wouldn't be. So the politics cuts both ways. But this is so clearly kind of pretext to settlement conversations, and it's just like, who is going to have maximum leverage, and what are they going to ask for, right? Is it like do you think that this kind of helps pave the way in any way for Paramount making structural concessions?
Yeah, they know they're going to have to. Now, what the Journal reported this weekend was that the two things Bonta wants are divestitures of some cable channels. They did not say which ones, and structurally to keep Warner Brothers separate and not interfere in the operations of Warner Brothers. I think that one, a little bit more difficult, because what's the point in owning two studios if you can't manage them both? But they know, I think Paramount knows they're going to have to sell some cable networks. Don't know if that's going to include CNN. They say no way, but maybe if it gets a deal done, sure. I don't know. I don't know that we know anything more today than we did last week on that front.
It's going to be really funny if the conclusion of all this is like David Ellison has to sell Food Network and HGTV. Like, we go through all of this, and the outcome is he sells some of these networks that we never talk about in the context of this deal, and that is enough.
I don't know that that's going to be enough. Because I don't think that makes the Democrats go away. Rob Bonta is looking for a political win here. He wants something that he could put in an ad when he runs for Congress, or when he's up for re-election, or when he's running for governor in 4 or 8 years. So I just don't think that's going to be enough, but we'll see. I mean, the interesting dynamic to watch is the dynamic amongst the politicians and Bonta, because you now have the three most prominent voices on the Democratic left that are relevant here. You have the current governor, you have the incoming likely governor, and you have the mayor of LA, all saying, settle this.
Right.
And the longer he goes on this, the more those voices could get louder. And, on the Paramount side, what is it? 36 days until this is a meaningful problem for Ellison. October 1st is the deadline where they're going to have to start paying money. So if they see this as a 30-something day plan to get to a resolution, then they're not in the danger zone quite yet.
I guess it depends on how long you think settlement talks take.
This is part of the settlement talks. This is part of the gamesmanship.
I understand, but they are not. But I'm talking about like meaningful trading of ideas, right? Yeah. And maybe that can come together really quickly. Maybe it can be something that you do in a week. But seeing as it feels like they're going to be pretty far apart at the start, it probably takes longer than that.
The last thing Bonta wants is states withdrawing from this. And I don't think it's going to happen. But if that does, then that puts additional pressure on him.
I'm sure that that the Ellison team is looking for any and all ways to apply pressure.
I know. Now they're going to hear this and start calling them. I'm sure they already know.
I'm sure they already have.
I'm sure they've called every single person they know who could possibly whisper in the ear of Rob Bonta, and they are all on his call sheet, not getting their calls returned right now.
Sure. It is not a coincidence that you saw a steady drumbeat of prominent Democratic politicians coming out and saying settle it.
Yes, exactly. This episode is brought to you by Peacock, presenting All Her Fault. Nominated for 7 Emmy Awards, including Outstanding Limited Series, and nominations for both Sarah Snook and Dakota Fanning. NPR praises the series' exceptional performances, and The Wrap calls the series an adrenaline-filled psychological thriller full of jaw-dropping twists and turns. All Her Fault is streaming now only on Peacock. All right, let's move on to the other big topic from this past week that I have an opinion on, which is the debacle of ticketing for 70 millimeter IMAX. We saw it with the Odyssey, and now we've seen it again with Dune Part 3. People are pissed. They want tickets to something that there aren't that many tickets for, and they are flooding the servers, and AMC cannot handle it. The question is, why can AMC not handle it?
It's the same discussion we have every time there's an issue around concert tickets. When there's a lot of demand.
It's the Taylor Swift question.
Yeah, a lot of demand and limited supply. This is just the concert business's problem coming to the movie business. And if anything, I would view this as like a weird thing to say, but like huge positive for the movie business.
I know. It's so funny. I talked to Adam Aaron at AMC about this. And first of all, he pointed out that they sell 5 million movie tickets a week. So it's not an insignificant amount. And they're having problems on essentially 4 theaters. The big 4 IMAX 70 millimeter theaters, New York, LA, a couple others, that those are being overrun. And the fact that they sold 75% of their available inventory for opening weekend for a movie that doesn't come out for 4 months, like, that is a problem he will take any day of the week for a business that, as he told us last year, they have a 20% occupancy typically of these theaters, teens to 20%. Like, of course, they're going to take some people pissed online.
Do you have because in the concert business, there's like not really an answer for this, right? It's what's inspired all types of legislation. One could argue it's why the DOJ kind of started looking at Live Nation again, which owns Ticketmaster. But the music business can't really solve for it. Do you think there's a solution on the movie business?
More theaters that show this. And Adam told me that they're trying to figure it out. He's talked to Rich Gelfond about it at IMAX. They're trying to figure out, because it's not a theater problem. It's a projector problem. We did a whole episode on this 2 weeks ago. You can listen to that. There are no manufacturers for IMAX 70 millimeter projectors anymore. So there's 2 separate issues here. There's the ticketing issue, and then there's the supply and demand issue. He said they're going to fix their website. He says there's like a $2 million fix where they can make it better so that people don't get locked out, and there aren't, people buying 20 tickets when other fans go without. There's stuff going around Reddit of some guy who apparently bought like 80 tickets for one of the IMAX 70 millimeters of Dune. And they can stop that via their ticketing system with a little bit more investment. That doesn't change the demand problem. And the demand problem is what we talked about. There's only a couple of these movies per year. So the investment is essentially betting on the future where there may be more of these, which I think if you build them, they will come. The movies will come. And it's about getting
who's going to build them? Are we going to have Christopher Nolan start a company that
I made that
builds
joke.
those
I made that exact joke last week.
I don't think it's a joke. I think he could.
You think he would raise money and start a manufacturing firm for IMAX projectors?
Why not? If Martin Scorsese has a film preservation company,
that's true.
Or if you were younger, I don't know, maybe, or like, why can't Jim Cameron probably doesn't care as much about 70 millimeter, or like Quentin, or can't we have a bunch of these directors band together?
Well, Nolan's going to make more than $100 million on Odyssey, way more. Don't aggregate me. Do not aggregate me on that. I've not done the reporting, but he's going to make a shit ton of money on the Odyssey. Maybe he plows it into an IMAX camera manufacturing company. Maybe he could do that. And then second, he could buy City Walk and turn it into a good mall. Christopher Nolan should not have to spend time in a crappy mall like City Walk. He's better than that.
You can just talk to Donna Langley about that.
She doesn't care because City Walk makes money.
If Christopher Nolan cares, I think she'll care.
Okay, maybe
he may be perfectly content having City Walk be what it is, because then he's allowed to just blend in.
Yeah. It's still embarrassing to see those videos of him walking from the parking lot. Like, he's better than that.
You know who could start a 70 millimeter company to reinforce his love of cinema and Hollywood?
Who?
David Ellison.
Oh, that would be great.
He has the money.
He would be the hero of Hollywood.
All the people who've decided that he's the villain, or at least some of them, would swing to support him.
Yeah. Maybe
free pitch for David Ellison. You don't have to give me any fee.
Maybe Larry Ellison could make this part of one of his data centers for Oracle. It's like half data center and half
projection.
70 millimeter projector company on the outskirts of Texas. That would be amazing. So Adam Aaron, our guy, he wrote on the Twitter that to, quote, protect all our guests, your scalping days are numbered, he says. We are monitoring eBay and other sites. We will do our best to cancel your tickets and close your Stubs account. It is a violation of our ticketing terms to scalp AMC tickets. Think that's going to work?
No.
God forbid you lose your AMC Stubs membership.
I don't think it's going to work.
No. I mean, it's the same problem that the music industry has had. It hasn't stopped there. If there's demand, the scalpers or resellers, in the parlance of our times, will come in and take advantage.
Yeah. It's very hard to come up with a fix beyond limiting who can access a sale, which people don't want to do.
Yeah, I know. I think they could limit ticket buying, though. Like,
how?
Significantly limit. No, just like you know, instead of Joe Blow being able to walk up and buy 80 tickets or whatever, you limit it.
Oh, you mean just limit how many tickets you can buy?
Yeah, you limit names or credit cards or whatever, and try to apportion it a little more equally. I know that won't stop the bots. I know that won't stop creative people, but it would at least try. Craig, do you have your tickets yet?
No, because I couldn't get them. And it's the one bummer. I agree with everything you guys are saying, and it's a good thing, and demand is good, but it's just more exclusionary now than it's ever been before, because normal people cannot go see a movie now in the format that they are told they should see it in. It's really hard to do that for a normal movie fan. And that does kind of suck. You have to do it 4 months in advance. And even then, you probably won't get it, which is kind of a bummer.
You know what? I'd like you to get into a time machine and come back to the 90s with me, where we literally had to stand outside the theater for hours and hours in order to get into the movie. And our seats were not reserved. If you were last in line, you were sitting front row. So you had to be there in the morning to see the evening show if you wanted to get into that very popular movie.
Yes, but in the 90s, every theater was the same, more or less, right? There was no IMAX 70 millimeter.
There were bigger theaters. Like, I would go to a theater in Orange County that was considered the cool, big theater, and everyone wanted to see the movies there. Now, at least, if you're savvy about this stuff, you can get tickets in advance. Or if you don't get them, just get them for later in the week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not as worried about people having access to the 70 millimeter IMAX. If you can see it in IMAX, if you can see it, like, I don't know, you don't have to see it in one particular format. And if you're,
I don't know. I think it's pitched that way, though. It is sold to you as like, you have to see it in IMAX. And if you don't, people will wait to go see it. And then you've now waited a month to see a movie that everybody's already talking about. And all of the plot lines are spoiled online.
Look, obviously, it would be better if there were more of those theaters. I do think that the vast majority of people are content to like see it on a normal screen. And if you care so much that you have to see it on that one screen, then yeah, you may have to wait or buy early. Like, that's where, that's why super fans are willing to spend more money, and all these companies, whether it's a studio or a record label or a theme park, are trying to squeeze more money out of them.
Yeah, there's got to be a way for AMC to profit off this.
Yeah, right. How can we make money off this? It's just interesting that the directors themselves are telling their fans, this is the way you should see the movie. Ryan Coogler's talking about how he filmed Sinners. No one is, the first full movie on IMAX 70. So it's like, it is communicating to fans directly from the guy who made it. This is how you should see it.
And you can't. The converse, if you see it on a regular screen, you're not.
Right. You're not a big fan. Yes. You have missed out. You have.
Correct.
And overall, until then, it's sort of a comms issue for AMC. They need to better communicate and set people up for this. And to be honest, they should hire the Paramount apparatus to handle the AMC communication strategy. They'll start shitting all over Regal. They'll start going after people personally. It'll be great.
Look at you, just getting both of us job creators.
We are. We are the true job creators in this economy
of this Paramount deal. We're the ones coming up with new jobs for everyone.
Yes. All right, Lucas. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
We're back with the call sheet. Craig, did you happen to catch any of the Rosie O'Donnell episodes of Jimmy Kimmel Live last week?
I did not. I did catch Rosie O'Donnell on Amy Poehler's podcast, Good Hang, which was recently.
Oh, good company, man. Listening to the Ringer podcast.
Little plug. It was really good, though. Those videos popped on social, the Rosie and Amy videos.
Yes. So that is interesting. I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole on YouTube watching clips of Rosie. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it reminded me how good she is at this. She is a very good talk show host. The Trump stuff was funny, but it wasn't just the Trump stuff. It was a lot of her like demeanor with the guests. It was her jokes off, riffing off people. Like, she's good. And the ratings for this week of guest hosting, we don't have the final Nielsen's for the full week, but the first week she got almost 2 million viewers, and she beat Fallon in the 18 to 49 demo.
Wow.
Which is hilarious considering I think the people at Disney were probably pretty nervous about having her on ABC, given that she is like #1 Trump target. And they are involved now in litigation over the FCC's actions against Disney related to Kimmel.
Do you think they would have tried to throw their body in front of that?
No, I mean, listen, I don't know. I don't want to say. But Rosie is certainly not the average guest host for that show. They are used to be getting people like Anthony Anderson or Coleman Domingo or people that are not controversial.
She has a much stronger political sensibility.
Yes. But shocker, it turned out that the ratings were good and people liked that, and Kimmel's audience was into it. So my prediction today is I think this is actually going to lead to something for Rosie.
Oh.
She posted something on her Instagram about how one of the tabloids in the UK said that she was now jockeying for a late night job. And she responded saying, no interest in late night, but I'm interested in daytime, which obviously she had her daytime show in the 90s. That was very popular. I don't think that will happen. I think the traditional daytime show is kind of going away, or the economics are not what Rosie might demand in that market. But my prediction is Rosie O'Donnell will have a popular podcast within the next year. And I say that knowing full well that she already had a podcast that she stopped doing in 2024. It didn't have very good guests. It was distributed by iHeart. It was not a big deal, but I think she will get a major deal for a major podcast with a major partner, and will have a thing in the celebrity podcast world based on, in part, on the performance of this past week.
I mean, a high-end, glossy-looking podcast is basically the same exact thing as a daytime talk show. And so if it's produced properly, it will effectively be the same thing, and she'll just have even more freedom on it. She could just do the Kelly Clarkson thing. Like, Kelly Clarkson has the daytime talk show that's successful, something like that. Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, but that's a traditional syndication deal. Like, Kelly Clarkson has I believe it's with the NBC owned and operated stations, and they pick up the show. The whole syndication model for these talk shows is kind of falling apart. We're seeing them one by one fall off, in part because YouTube and Netflix and places like The Ringer are creating shows that are directly competitive and now often have bigger and more popular guests than the actual talk shows can get. So Rosie has credibility in the celebrity world. She could get bigger guests. It might be a little complicated because Rosie lives in Ireland. She's got kids in school, and also she claimed that she didn't want to live in this country while Trump was president. So maybe it doesn't happen till end of 28, but it'll happen.
I mean, look, there's all these talk show hosts that are losing their jobs, the Stephen Colberts and whatever's coming next. I wonder if they would ever try to start something that's like a YouTube or a Netflix or some type of podcast series where they build their own talk show kind of
the Conan model.
Universe. Yes.
It's the Conan model.
But something a little more organized.
Conan's making more money now than he ever did on his show. Like, it's a great model.
Yeah. I wonder if like the Jon Stewarts and Colberts of the world will ever try to do their own thing in a more organized fashion.
Yeah, we'll see. But okay, my prediction, Rosie has a podcast.
Rosie's back.
Rosie's officially back. All right, that's the show for today. I want to thank my guest, Lucas Shaw, producer Craig Horlbeck, editors Jessie, Lopez, and Stefano Sanchez. And I want to thank you. We'll see you a couple more times this week.